And welcome to another edition of Spits and Suds. I'm Gavin Spittle of 1053 The Fan. Thank you so much for growing and supporting Spits and Suds. Speaking of growing, the great game of hockey in DFW and beyond, we love having the On Time Experts as a partner. They've stepped up as an official heating, air, and plumbing partner of the Dallas Stars, and now Spits and Suds. So we need to support them. And even during the recent Stars Prospect Tournament, sitting next to our upcoming guest, Sean Shapiro, and we both looked down on the ice, and there it was, the On Time Experts sponsoring the Zamboni. I've been an On Time Experts guy for years. They've come out to my house for AC. They've come out to my house for plumbing, and both times so satisfied. They pride themselves on 100% satisfaction guarantee, no excuses, no exceptions. I was thinking on the drive to work today, the tech came down and he was all sweaty, and I asked why he was sweaty. He's like, I had to climb over your AC unit because it was put in improperly, but I needed to see that part to make sure that it was working efficiently. That's the kind of expertise and that extra effort that they give you. So make sure you support the On Time Experts. A big stick tap to them for supporting us, the ontimeexperts.com. Make sure you get that AC and heating unit ready for this fall season. We bring on one of our favorite guests. He brings so much information to the table from EP Rinkside. If you haven't subscribed to his Shap Shot Substack, boy, what a read, specifically this time of year, coming out with a lot of great articles. Many of you met him at the Stars Prospect Tournament. It's the greatness of Sean Shapiro. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, man. I'm we're in the thick of it. Hockey season is going. I know the Stars, obviously NHL games aren't till October 8th or 9th or whatever it is, but for me, the world's getting going on this. We sat and watched the Wings and Stars prospects with you this past weekend, and down there in Frisco. It was a great time. Great,
Yeah,
got
it
to meet some
was.
people. Then I just got home late last night. I spent past 2 days in Pittsburgh, watching watching some USHL hockey. The USHL always opens their season with a big kickoff event called the USHL Fall Classic, where they have all 16 teams, I think it is in the USHL. All 16, everyone plays two games. Um, and at the same time, they also got a bunch of other elite tournaments going on there as well, at the elite 15U and 16U level. Actually watched a little bit yesterday. I watched parts of six hockey games, and one of them actually featured the 14U Dallas Stars elite team, and they beat Team Minnesota 3-1. So shout out to the 14U Dallas Stars elite team,
Nice.
yesterday as well. So yeah, so I'm running around in the thick of it, and I'm happy to be talking hockey with you right now. So it's the
That's
best time of year.
great. Well, you work for EP Rinkside. Amazing. Encourage everyone to go there. They had the 2026 upcoming, their first look at the draft. And I wanted to ask you specifically, JP Hurlbert from Allen, Texas is getting some looks. And anytime something was happening locally, I like to focus on that. Have you heard much about him?
Yeah, he is he's an interesting case because he's someone who I saw him a little bit with the U.S. national team last year, right? He played for the under 17 team. He is a and he was a pretty good year for the U17s national team development program. Had 37 points, I think. I just pulled up his stat page. It had 37 points in 56 games. And people always forget, like, that U17 team is um, one of the hardest teams to put up good numbers with. I actually spoke to their coach last week about this because it's some of the best 17-year-olds, best 16 and 17-year-olds for their age group. And but they play a schedule that is demanding. They play they are always the youngest team in the games they play. in the USHL. They're the only team where everyone is under 16 or 17 years old, and they're playing against. I mean, I was watching the USHL games yesterday, and they're playing against 20-year-olds, and then they so it's a tough transition. And he had a good year last year with the U17s. In a normal's the wrong word. In the new normal, that's the reason he's at Kamloops now, Gavin. He
Yeah.
is a University of Michigan commit, and would have stayed with the under 17, would have stayed with the national team program if not for the new NCAA CHL rule changes, right? So if he had been um, under the old rules, he would have now been ineligible for the University of Michigan by going to Kamloops. But now with the rule changes and CHL players becoming eligible for college hockey, he was able to go to Kamloops. He had a really good preseason from what I heard. Good player, and I think it's a good jump for him. Obviously, I would have enjoyed watching him a little bit closer to home here for me, but it's he's a guy that you're gonna keep an eye on this season. And there's a couple there's it's always fun for me, Gavin, to look and see how some of those guys with either the I think it was I saw Jackson Crowder play this past weekend in the USHL. I think he was a fifth round pick. I think he's going to either Wisconsin or Ohio State. I can't remember which, but I saw hit Allen on the USHL on the list on the line chart this weekend when I was at games at a game the other day. So it's always fun for me to see that happen. And Hurlburt is similar to like a Blake Fiddler last year is probably going to be one of the taken in the first 40 45 picks and going to be a good representative for Texas for what Texas hockey has grown. So
Okay, before we get into the stars, explain to me if you can, and I don't know how much diving you've done into a player named Jack Beck and
Mhm.
the eligibility to be able to go play for Arizona State after he
Yeah.
participated in ECHL games.
Well, and he is one of now we now know of four players that played pro hockey last year that have been granted NCAA eligibility for this year. Beck is the most notable one because he is the one who was a point per game player in the point per game player for the Wheeling Nailers in the ECHL last year and is now going to Arizona State. Um, I'll probably write something about this over at my Substack over at Shap Shots sometime within the and probably sometime in the next 24 to 48 hours, depending on how and when I talk to some more people. But to kind of give people an idea, I spoke to within the past 3 days, I've spoken to a lot of college coaches and scouts. That's by nature of where I was in Pittsburgh at the USHL showcase. Every college team is scouting this. For example, I had a long chat with the associate head coach at Michigan State, talking to him a long time while watching Chicago Steel play yesterday. And you go through every single coach or person you ask about this, they're not really sure how this all works. It's kind of funny to hear because like it's the whole um, Arizona State, Bemidji State, and now Quinnipiac are the three schools that will have players we know of right now who played pro hockey last year that will now play college hockey this year. All of them went through and did they had the player go through NCAA compliance, and the player was cleared by the NCAA clearinghouse or whatever the terminology is right now. And it's it's kind of a slippery slope, because these players that were cleared from the ECHL, my understanding of it, and Mike McMahon over at College Hockey Insider has done some really good reporting on this too, is the NCAA looked at the amount of money players make in the ECHL and felt that it wasn't a uh, it wasn't a substantial amount of money. ECHL players, for those who don't know, are making like $500 a week. It's a really ECHL players are living typically below the minimum wage line. That's just kind of the reality. So, So the NCAA looked at that and said, like, well, okay, when you look at the raw numbers, this isn't really like now. I understand that, but I did speak to another college coach who pointed out this is a very slippery slope of how many you've opened the door for one and now four. Where does this continue to push? And when do we start seeing um, some of the bigger schools try and exploit some of these loopholes that smaller schools opened up, right? Like the Bemidji's and the Arizona State's not a small school, but it's a newer hockey school, right? Um, when do we start to see some of the bigger schools trying to open up these loopholes? It is a wild west, Gavin, to see where this
Yeah.
all goes. And um that is
I mean, and
first
from his
yeah, yeah.
personal standpoint, I mean, NIL wise, I mean, he can he can probably get some good sponsorships
Yeah, well, and it's like
or put up
I don't
big
know.
points. I mean, maybe
Yeah,
it'll help
yeah.
him as far as, getting a PTO.
Yeah, it's the whole I don't know how to feel on it the right way or the other, right? Like it's the like I'm being clear, like I haven't really I'm still figuring out what my opinion is on all of this because it's we're still all learning this on the fly, learning about how
Right.
this how it worked and how it doesn't and everything. And my biggest kind of takeaway on all of this is I feel it's only four right now, and that's fine. But I saw someone who does some college hockey work with players, and they had a good point of that's four, and now the NCAA has these roster limits, right? It's no longer scholarship limits; it's just roster limits, right? So because of that, there's four jobs in college. Four jobs is a funny word phrase, but like there's four opportunities in college hockey now that are taken by players who played pro hockey before and that are not going to someone who quote unquote followed the right path or whatever. I don't know how to personally feel about it. I spoke to when I spoke to Stars GM Jim Nill about a bunch of things over the weekend down in Dallas. There was a couple other things we talked about, like this NCAA CHL stuff, and he said it's something where we're gonna have a lot of not outliers, but we're gonna have a lot of things that test the waters right now, and um and then mistakes are going to be made, boundaries are going to be pushed, and then things are going to be it's going to be interesting to see how this is all kind of how everything evolves on this.
Yeah.
I don't have a good answer. I
No,
wish I had
no,
a better answer. Yeah.
I find it interesting. So I guess the follow-up question is does Sean Shapiro have any eligibility left?
I, I don't know. I mean, that's a great question. I technically went to college for 4 years. I went to
Did
college.
you play for 4 years in college hockey?
I did not. I was
Okay.
a so I didn't I was a
You're good to go.
I guess so. Yeah, like my college hockey career was I did not I had a knee injury my freshman year. I was gonna play club at Bowling Green, but then I blew out my knee my freshman year. So I technically I guess I still have that eligibility if
There you
somebody
go.
wants to give me a call, I guess. So
I have one more year of eligibility. I've used 3, so I have one more. But with my recent play on the tennis court, it will continue to be one more. Okay. Simple question, but I think it's important because yesterday I saw a lot of social media regarding Stars lines on the ice. And I think it's awesome that Stars fans are excited that the team is back and that they're looking at the lines. So, for a guy like you who has covered teams for so long, when can we start developing opinions based on the lines in practice or the lines in training camp? How many exhibition games? Or do we have to wait till really we see them in the regular season to formulate our opinions on this Stars team?
yeah. Show me the lines on the morning of the first time I care about lines is when a line makes it through the first period of game one against the Winnipeg Jets on October 10th.
Okay.
Honestly, like that's like preseason hockey is. there's certain combinations and things that will be worth kind of watching of how these guys play together. I think defense pairings are a little bit more intriguing because you try to work them in practice together. But I'm a big believer personally that when it comes to lines, you should have flexibility. You should be able to, you're a more dynamic team if you have the ability to, hey, this is what my line is in period one and things aren't working and we can change it. So um, the other problem, Gavin, with this Stars training camp, and it's not a problem, but this roster is basically locked in, right? Like there's no real
Yeah.
intrigue on who's going to make this team. So much of this, um, so much of what's happening with this Stars training camp is just waiting for October 9th or 10th or whatever opening day is against Winnipeg. Um, it's just waiting for that to arrive because we know what this team is. We know we can kind of watch for some tweaks. Like when they play Saturday night, there's certain things I'll watch and I want to see how they do different things. But NHL preseason is also more about survival and playing a couple guys and getting a couple guys. Like it is a I am very excited that the NHL is only going to 4 preseason games next year. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Certainly, I mean, I remember when I first had my season tickets in Dallas. I used to tell people, "No, preseason games are good. People are fighting for positions. You might actually see people drop the mitts. This is fascinating." And I look at it now, and it is different. But all sports are different. The
Yeah.
key is not to get injured. Okay, this week on your Shap Shots, you wrote a very interesting article. Miro Heiskanen, you put is the Stars' best defender, but he was largely unused on the penalty kill last season. So I asked new Stars head coach Glenn Gulutzan about it. Does Miro Heiskanen need to kill penalties? What did you walk away from after talking with the coach?
Yeah. That well, one that he's going to use Miro on the penalty kill to answer the direct question.
Love it.
But it's interesting to I'm part of like the whole coaching change thing, and I mentioned we're trying to see what this team looks like in October. Is it's been a lot of like detective work of figuring out what which and how the Stars team is going to play, right? And Glenn has said a lot of the right things, but there's things that he can say that like him saying I'm going to play Miro on the penalty kill more is more actionable, and that's something. Those are the type of things that I'm trying to like kind of build my fair expectations for what this team might do this season. Um, let me. The reason the Miro Heiskanen thing is fascinating to me, Gavin, is you and I have spoken after games before. We've messaged, and you look at a playoff game, or you look at a regular season game, or whatever you look at, and you go to time on ice, and
Yep.
it's always Miro will always lead the team in time on ice, 24, 25, whatever, right? And then it'll be like 12 seconds, 13 seconds. There's a game from the Western Conference Final against the Oilers where Miro had 4 seconds of penalty kill time. Um, and I'm not saying, in my opinion, is open to interpretation. I not, my opinion is one where I am open minded to look at things in various ways to see how it goes. But at the end of the day, if Miro is this best defenseman on the planet, or one of, and I believe he's in that top five range, um, why doesn't he kill penalties? And it's a completely, and Pete DeBoer clearly didn't want to use him in that realm. And so I was curious to kind of get Glenn Gulutzan's thoughts on this. And one of my bigger takeaways on this, Gavin, is Glenn, and I kind of took this from some other conversations with Glenn as well, but I have this kind of I get the feeling that Glenn looks at this Stars roster and how they're built and the way they did things, and he sees a lot that he likes, but he realizes um, I need to. There's 4 or 5 little areas where I need to be clear I'm making changes, and I need to be upfront with those right away with the players. He doesn't necessarily have to be upfront with the media, but like with the players, hey, we're going to try to build some of that more physicality. We're going to we can't ever go having Miro off the ice for that long. He's too good to not impact the game for that long. it's good. It's interesting to see kind of Glenn come in with these um, goals, for lack of a better word, of how to improve the Stars. So I expect Miro to kill penalties more this year. He should. I don't think he needs to be killing 2 minutes a game. That's the Lindell territory, but he probably should be. Him and Thomas Harley, for as dynamic as they both are, they should be killing penalties. They should be part of the second unit or the first unit, and they should be part of the group where they can impact the game in all three facets. And I think it's a smart move. Don't wear him out. Don't play him 2.5 minutes a game on the penalty kill. But it's also, and it's not why. And I know I'm rambling, and I hope the listeners.
No, this is intriguing.
Yeah, I hope the listeners have gained something. But the other thing about it is, and this is not why Glenn does it at all. Let's be clear on that. But it is a fun conversation, a fun hypothetical, Gavin. Is Miro Heiskanen good enough offensively to win a Norris if he doesn't kill penalties?
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is not why Glenn Gulutzan is putting him on the penalty kill. It's not to help him win a Norris Trophy. But if you are going to be, Miro is one of the best defensemen on the planet because of what he does defensively. He is never going to be as good offensively as Cale Makar. But Cale Makar already kills more penalties than Miro. So Miro Heiskanen needs to be used where he can impact the game in the best possible way. And I'm all for that. The other thing that this kind of connects to, and Glenn, it's going to be interesting. Glenn is not going to roll lines the way Pete DeBoer did, right? There's not going to be the balance of, hey, we're going to have 4 lines where everyone's between 12 to 15 minutes and everything like that. My conversations with Glenn, and this connects to him chatting about Miro, but we talked about other players as well. He believes hockey is very much especially come postseason time, hockey is a strong link sport. Your best players need to be your best players. And you know what? He saw it with Edmonton. That's how the Oilers reached back-to-back Stanley Cup finals. He saw it with the team that they lost to in the Florida Panthers. And so Radek Faksa and Nathan Bastian, they're here to help with the physicality, but they're not going to be 14, 15 minutes a night type player. It's not going to be, hey, we're just going to roll everyone in every situation. It's going to be, if you are one of those best players, you are going to be put in a position to impact the game more, and then you have to seize it. And it's going to be interesting to see how that usage kind of plays out over the 82 regular season games, and kind of how that all plays out.
So since he's going to kill penalties, does that mean that on the other side of special teams that Harley is your power play one, if it all works out, as far as, if Harley just took a long shift, that wouldn't be the case, but primarily on the power play, you'd see Thomas Harley?
No. Well, I think two things can be true. I don't think Miro killing penalties should impact what his power play usage. I will say that. And
okay.
I think, and Glenn said he expects Harley to kill penalties as well. So he expects both Thomas Harley and Miro Heiskanen to kill penalties. So two things can be true. The Miro's time spent on the penalty kill is not going to limit his usage on the power play. I think that's not how this works. Now, on the flip side, Gavin, and we can have the other discussion, I think Thomas Harley should be power play one quarterback. Yeah. But that's not because of Miro killing penalties. I just think Thomas Harley has that it factor,
right,
to be the power play one quarterback.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And not that it would be replicated, but they had McDavid, they had Draisaitl, but Bouchard at the point was a big part of that Edmonton power play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's interesting. Hey, let's end on this, because you had a chance to sit down with Jim Nill over the past weekend at the Stars Red Wings Prospects tournament. He pointed out to you that obviously he wants Jason Robertson to stick around. I will say that both sides seem very level-headed, and I did like what Jim Nill said, that I mean, if I'm a player and that's on my mind, the fact that my boss, my general manager is saying, like, I understand where you're coming from as far
Mhm.
as wanting to see the market. I mean, I think that speaks a lot for Jim Nill as a general manager and why people like playing for him.
Yeah, and it's like I think obviously Jim's done a great job. It's the only thing missing from Jim's honestly, Gavin, if Jim the only thing it's like it's funny, like it's the only thing missing from Jim's resume from going into the Hockey Hall of Fame as a builder is a Stanley Cup
Yep.
as the GM.
Yep.
He won multiple Stanley Cups as an assistant GM. His name's on the cup at least 4 times. So
Four Nations, which count. I
yeah,
mean, he's got Four Nations, and
yeah,
then
yeah. So it's like he's
general
got
manager
like
of the year 3 times. So
yeah. So like Jim's got a Hall of Fame resume actually. Just it's just missing the final piece of hey the head guy as being the head GM that won a Stanley Cup. Um, it's I give Jim credit for saying the right things and talking about it publicly and because like the reality is you want to win the deal, right? Like as a GM and as a business manager and everything like that, you want to win the deal. You want to get the best deal for your team so you can get this done and that done and everything like that. But Jim has always very pragmatically looked at there's not always winning it's not always about winning the battle, it's about winning the war. And so when it came to the um like Andy Scott is the agent for both Mikko Rantanen, Thomas Harley, and Wyatt Johnston, right? Pretty big name in the Stars world
sure.
that you should know over at CAA. Jim doing right by Mikko Rantanen and Wyatt Johnston, you know that he's now going into a better conversation with Thomas Harley already because of that past relationship. And so when Jim is talking about Jason Robertson's deal and he's talking about, hey, I understand. One of the lines he used was like, hey, well, we got players. There's lots of players that haven't been signed yet. And I understand. I would wait to see what happened with that too. We all know he's talking about Kirill Kaprizov,
Yeah.
right? Like we all know that's who he's talking about. Jim's not going to say it because he's good at being smart and not saying the name of another player to avoid that old tampering conversation or whatever, right? But like we know he's talking about Kaprizov. And so if you're Jason Robertson, why would you sign anything before Kaprizov signs? Right? Like that guy's going to reset the market a bit and you're going to try to take advantage of that. Jim knows that, Jason's agent knows that. And the reality is there's not the rush and there's not the um pressure that like a lot of these stories which frankly a lot of them didn't come out of Dallas. It was a lot of other markets like oh
Yeah.
we could go get Jason Robertson and everything like that. There's not the pressure that was there's not really the pressure on Jim to get Jason signed like a lot of people thought. I mean, at the end of the day, if the Stars need it and they wouldn't want to do it, but Jim holds the cards with he could just with the qualifying
Yep.
offer.
Absolutely.
And then the other thing that I dislike, and I think like um I think there's some hockey media folks who I really like their work, but there's been some people who have been like, oh, Jim wants to avoid an arbitration case. Like I asked Jim about that, and it's like no, if you're afraid, you're an NHL GM. If you're afraid of arbitration cases, you're not cut out for this business,
Right.
right? Like that's part of the job. So this Robertson stuff won't go away because of his name and the thing and everything like that. But I I have a hard time seeing how things have gone and everything like that, and knowing how Jim has operated and kind of where things go, unless it's part of a blockbuster trade. Like, hey, if you want to go and swing a equal for an equal esque part to trade Jason Robertson for, that's different. But I have a hard time seeing him playing somewhere else right now.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. July. I mean, the market, I don't want to say it's going to be reset multiple times, but there are going to be multiple options to look at. You got McDavid, you got Eichel, obviously Robertson, Martin Necas. They have to re-sign Harley, who's also a restricted free agent. So it is, Kaprizov's another one. So it is fascinating how many names are out there for free agency.
What if, think about this. What if you're Colorado, what happens if you don't get Marty Necas signed?
It's a good question, because then you're going to have the fan base questioning why you cannot have these players sign long term. Like, what are the issues? Whether it's true or not, that would be my perspective from an outsider. Why are these deals not getting done when I have arguably a top 2 superstar in the league and no one wants to stick around with him? What's going on? Or
you think about, hey, as a fan base, you start to wonder, and you start to get a little bit more angry with, like, you won your Stanley Cup in 2022. What year was it for them? 2022.
You're not going all in.
But to management, you start being like, wasn't the reason you got rid of Rantanen was because we're like, hey, we're going to get something we can get long term and do everything like that?
Yeah.
So
It is. It's fascinating, man. We could go down about 5 more subjects, but that's why we love having you on a regular basis, because you are a fountain of information, my friend, and that's why you need to sign up for Shap Shots. It's on Substack, just a few bucks a month, but I'm telling you, you get great articles, you get great info, like you're listening to today. Miro Heiskanen, according to Glenn Gulletson, is going to play penalty minutes. He's going to kill penalties. So it's that kind of information that Sean brings, and yeah, I'm going to pump his tires because I love Sean, and I think he's great at what he does. Same thing with Robert Tiffin, David Castillo. They're my guys, and they bring information to the table. Obviously, if you want to, there's a terrific book. If you want to learn about Stars history, We Win Here is a terrific look at the Texas Stars and the Dallas Stars, written by 2 Spits and Suds guys, Stephen Meserve, as well as Sean Shapiro, his work at EP Ringside, and of course his work at D Magazine as well. Always a pleasure having you on, man. Can't wait till the next episode with you.
Always fun, Gavin. And tomorrow night, preseason hockey, right?
I know, man. God, I'm thinking to myself, do I do a pod after? And am I really going to be that guy that breaks it down? Maybe I will be.
It is. I mean, it is interesting with the. It is interesting having the first game back for Glenn coaching.
Yeah.
It's nice. I'm happy the Stars are doing every game on Victory Plus. Shout out to them for getting that done. So yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to watching part of it and seeing it.
Me
I've
too.
got a couple things. I got some things I got to run around and do with the kids with, but I'm gonna get all of that done as well. So.
Oh, absolutely. It is going to be great. Stick tap to the on-time expert. They make this program happen. For Sean Shapiro, I'm Gavin Spittle. Until our next podcast, which will be coming up soon, by the way, have a great day, everyone.